Hey there, this is Rocky from WeLearnChess.com, and the other day in my 1510 game, I missed an opportunity to break open the center early and catch a tactic right out of the opening. And I just played another game on a different site, not on Chess.com this time, where I missed a similar opportunity. And I like to play pretty aggressively in the opening, so this kind of ideas about opening the center come up a lot, but I haven't taken enough time to study and really look at continuations and ways to really take advantage of it. So a lot of times I play the wrong pawn break. So I'm going to try to make an effort to look at these kinds of situations a little bit more. And I just missed this opportunity, like I said, in this game, so I took a look at it, and it was kind of interesting, so I figured I'd put a quick video up. And it's a position that might come up in some of your games too. So, this game was on Chess Cube. It was a 5-0 game, 5 minutes, 0 second increment. Um, we were about even rating, about 1800 something each. So played e4 like I usually do, and he played this Owens defense. So just good move here is to just take the center, and I think one of Black's plans is to try to undermine that center with piece pressure and some strategic pawn breaks. Bishop d3 is just sort of it's going to be a nice diagonal for the bishop if this pawn moves in the future, and it also lends some support to this e-pawn, which is going to come under fire really quickly. So this e6 move, I'm not sure. I've never actually played the Owens defense as Black, but I think, well, at least one of the things that this does is that I know, like for White, if you wanted to play some sort of early f4 move, which I'm not sure if that's good in even in other variations, but like sometimes, for example, if Black was to play on the other side of the board, like a modern defense or Pirk's defense or something like that, and we just got some kind of setup here like this, and let's just say I'm not. There's tons of move orders that could come into play. But anyway, let's just say, for example, that White wanted to play for some sort of, I think this is called the Austrian attack, although again, I'm not sure the move order. At the moment, Black doesn't have this queen check because of the pawn. So this is a totally different setup, but if White wanted to try to play that way here, which, again, I'm not sure if that's good, but with his move here, of course, if you play this now, then among other things, Black has this check, which isn't the end of the world. I mean, I could play g3 here, and that's what the computer recommends, but it's pretty open position around my king, and I'm not sure, if I would want to play that necessarily, but the computer doesn't evaluate it too badly, so in any case, it makes it a little more risky, to say the least, to play that. Okay, so anyway, that was just a little side tangent. So in the game, I played knight c2, which isn't the best move, according to the computer. It's just to play knight f3, but I guess this isn't a lesson in opening theory, and I'm not really equipped to give it anyway, but I'll just give you the little tidbits that I know. So I just wanted to be able to play c3 so that I could take back with a pawn and maintain two center pawns and try to keep a hold of the center. He's putting more pressure on my center here, and I'm defending it. And this move, not really sure how useful that is, to be totally honest. I mean, I can just drop my bishop back here, and there's not really anything he can do. I'm just going to kick it back. And, maybe you could argue that if it was h3 instead of a3 that were played, that I would have a weakness on my king side to maybe attack later. But at some point I might want to push these queenside pawns anyway, so I don't really see how that helped Black at all, except just to lose time. I mean, you can see he hasn't moved a kingside piece yet, so. But anyway, I just castled here, so my king's safe now. And you would think at this point that he would start to try to tend to his kingside, but sometimes it happens with openings like this where the person knows that one of their plans is to try to pressure your center. So they're so intent on doing that they just keep going after pawns. So here, I think his plan was he wanted to take back with the queen, and now he's got pressure on my pawns, and it looks like he's going to win a pawn here. But again, we have to remember that he hasn't castled yet, and I have Starting to open the board for my bishops here, my king's safe, so I have the freedom to look for some good moves here. I didn't play the best move here, but I at least stopped him from immediately taking the pawn, obviously with his queen first, because then I would just take it. So the computer liked better to put the bishop on a2, and I'll have to look at why exactly that is. I think that after some trade of these pawns, that maybe the bishop would just be great on this diagonal, attacking f7 for the rest of the game. But in any case, the idea was the same, and that was to get the queen to move. And here, this is kind of common in a lot of games where you see that when you look at the computer evaluation, you can see, well, actually the evaluation's even going up for queen d8. But at first, queen d8 was almost a draw. But the idea was that that was the only move where black even maintains a little bit of something. The evaluation's going up very quickly for almost all of their squares on that he could put his queen on. So if he doesn't find the one or two best squares, then it's already going to be a big problem. And he goes to h5, which already gives white a pawn advantage. So you have to be really careful when you're just trying to go pawn grabbing in the opening, I guess, is the lesson for the black side here. I almost never do that, so it's just not the way I usually like to play. Whenever I take a pawn, I get in trouble anyway. So, okay, now again is a point where, or this is the point where I wanted to show in the video. So, I didn't have like a bad plan here. I mean, I found some interesting moves, but wanted to look at d5. This is a logical move because, again, he hasn't moved a kingside piece yet, and I want to try to open up the position. And I did think of my game the other day where I didn't do that, so I was looking to try to make this work, and I just didn't quite see it. I mean, it's logical that I want to get a rook to e1, but I didn't see that this plan works immediately. So in the game, I'll show first that I play queen a4. I just wanted to pin the knight, and now I am trying to win some pawns because I mean, I could also go for an attack on the king, which is probably what I should have done. But this also gets into a nice position if he doesn't find like perfect moves. And even if he finds perfect moves, it's not going to be fun for him to play. So, okay, so he attacked my bishop, which is sort of defended, although I've got to watch out for some tactics if this knight ever gets unpinned. But anyway, I was just planning on taking this just to start to pressure his position. Again, he's got to be really careful. I mean, he's only got one or two moves that can even save him. I'm not sure if he was, worried about pawns here or whatever, but now I've got three-way attack here on pieces and pawns. He's got to give up more material. I wasn't quite sure about this either. He seems so intent on going after pawns. It's pretty crazy. And he's forced to get into a really bad position here, so in the end, it's actually even a mate. After the final position, he just let his clock run out. I mean, I wouldn't have found like a mate in 10 or anything, but I've got connected passers. His king can't castle. Queens are still on the board. If there's ever a trade on the c-file, I'll have total domination of the c-file. He's basically got no counterplay. His pieces are all tied up, so this was terrible. But let's go back to the position where I could have broken up in the center and went for an attack on the king instead of trying to gobble up pawns. So instead of queen a4, it's amazing that I could play d5 immediately here, and I just saw after this that I wasn't going to be able to take, obviously. So this would just be down a piece. But what's interesting here is that the computer informs me that I can play rook e1, which is pretty crazy, so we have to take a look, obviously. And the idea here is that I don't take back with the rook, but I set up this discover check. So it's always crazy when you see a computer evaluation where I'm actually down a piece here, but I'm up almost 2 points in the evaluation, which is massive. And the point is that either knight d6 or knight f6 is coming, and there's really not anything you can do to protect this loose bishop here on b7. Like, just for example, if he tries to protect this bishop, then I'm just going to get checkmate in one, actually, which is a pretty nice mate. Both of these files are covered, and there's nothing he can do about it here. This is double check and mate. So he can't protect his bishop in any way, or that mate's coming. I mean, if he does it here, it's the same thing. So that bishop's going to fall, and that means that we're even pawns here, but I've got total control of the center. His king's not safe and never will be, so this would have been a cool way to break it open. So let's see some other moves. If he just wants to at least make this so that it's not a check, not a double check, I should say, because then I could also win the queen in some variations, obviously. So here now I can't, because it's not a double check, but I can play knight d6, and then I just have my choice. I can get the piece back. I could take the rook, but then you'd have two pieces for the rook, so that's not really necessarily so great. So, wherever the king goes here, I'm just going to take this. And I've just got really nice control over the center. We're even material, but his pieces are all tied up. And it's going to be really, really hard for him. It's going to take him like 3 or 4 moves to try and get his king safe, and he's going to probably have to put his pieces on awkward squares in the meantime. So this would have been really nice, and it all came back to this one move here where I could have played d5 really early on. So I guess the lesson here for me was to try to look deeper into and calculate more. I mean, it was a 5-0 game, so it's hard to really look deep, but I should have taken a moment in this position because I was trying to find a way to make d5 work, and I didn't really give it much thought. Just to be able to see, like, even giving up a piece, is there a way for you to get the piece back, or get a checkmate, or get some good attack or some compensation for the piece, just by opening up the center. So that's something I'll have to look harder for in future games, but hopefully you like that little sequence there of giving up the piece and then getting it back and getting a winning attack there right out of the opening. So and also when you look at the position here, even in all those variations, he never would have been able to move a kingside piece for the whole game. And even in the real game, he didn't really get to do much of this kingside. So it was a nice way to punish these early attempts to just grab pawns and play with the queen. So hopefully you like that, and I'll see you around.